It's a great day to talk hockey with Grant McCagg on HabsCast.
What a fabulous day to talk hockey. Trade deadline eve. And by the way, that intro was from a 93-year-old Dick Irvin, almost 94, because yesterday he turned 94. Happy birthday, Dick. And thank you so much for doing that intro for Liam and I. It just, his voice doesn't sound the exact same as it did when he was the preeminent hockey commentator after Danny Galvin, but it's still quite recognizable. And I hope I'm around when I'm 94 and my voice still is sounds as close as it does to what it sounds like now. But hey, we're gonna be I'm gonna be on here for quite a while, I think. Tell you what, I'll stay on until the Habs make a trade. Okay, maybe not, but hopefully they do while I'm on here today. But hey, it's been fun. Lots of juicy stuff. I'm going to keep following X here and going along with all the rumors. The latest thing that I just saw was that Parayko doesn't want to go to Buffalo. How uncomfortable is that for somebody like Radim Murtka now, eh? That's why, I don't know. You get a lot of popularity, I suppose. You're popular on Twitter and you get a lot of clicks and stuff if you're a insider, but I don't know. Break a trade like that and then, it ends up a kid like Radim Murtka who now thinks, geez, they don't want me in Buffalo. Like it almost destroys the confidence of a young player. And it's happened how many times, right? Where trades get leaked ahead of time before it's official and then they don't go down and there's players that are hurt by it that end up still being in the organization. Like, how awkward is that? You almost have to trade the player after that, but anyway, that's hockey life, I guess. And so for now, Parayko is still St. Louis Blue. There's been a pile of right defensemen gone. A lot of guys on my Habs checklist gone. Like Weegar would have been nice. I think the fact that Weegar was traded means that Whitecloud probably isn't. I mean, that leaves them with no veteran right defenseman if they trade Whitecloud now. Parekh and, little weak on the right side. So Brustowicz and Parekh, basically your only right defenseman. If you after trading Weegar, then you deal Whitecloud. I mean, that's still who I would like the Canadiens to target, and he's one of the 5 that I have on that picture, my thumbnail. But I don't. I have a feeling that the Canadiens won't be able to get Whitecloud. I guess Parayko's back in the mix here. Murtka in the first. That's pretty, fairly hefty. So if the Canadiens were after Parayko, would probably have to be something along the lines of a good young defenseman. Obviously, that they aren't going to offer Reinbacher in a first for Parayko, but maybe St. Louis would be looking for like Hage in a first or Jarosky in a first, and I just don't see the Canadiens going for that. Someone has brought up, it's been brought up a couple times, and the more I think about it, given that, all of these right defensemen keep getting, and it just goes to show you how valuable they are at the trade deadline, right? Veteran right defensemen. There's been more of those being traded than anything else at this point. That and big defensive centermans, right? Nick Roy went for a first rounder today. McCarron went the other day. You see those types of guys being added. Colorado, first and a fifth, I believe it was, for Nick Roy. That's a good return for Toronto, for Nicolas Roy. Mind you, he was a big part of Vegas winning a cup a few years back. A big, a heavy presence down the middle, good at playoff time. Colorado, you look at Montreal, and I keep mentioning that I think they need to get bigger down the middle. Well, what's Colorado done the last couple of trade deadlines? They added Nelson, they added Raw, they added Charlie Coyle a few years ago. So they get it that you need to have some size and physicality down the middle if you want to win 4 playoff rounds. Doesn't look like Montreal's going that route. I still hope they add some size and grit here. Getting back to, I guess I forgot to mention where I was going with it, but the name that was brought up was Braden Schneider. Now, I don't know if New York's. I mean, there have been rumors that New York would be willing to trade Braden Schneider. By the way, people are a lot probably accessing X a little more than I am, and if you hear any trades or any other info here, please, you're my co-host today. Add it to the add it, if you don't mind, to the comment section, and I'll get to it. I appreciate that. But Braden Schneider, he was drafted by Bobrov and Gorton. So there's that connection. Normally, and especially if well, what they traded for Lars, what's his face there, the kid that he ended up playing Laval a couple of years ago, that they had picked 7th overall, right? So they already did it once, but unlike Lafreniere and Kako, Schneider is a pick from that regime that actually turned out fairly well. So they liked him in his draft year. I imagine they still like him. They know him. Liam Anderson, thank you. Why I was thinking Lars. So there's some familiarity there. They have picked up players that there's some familiarity with before, like Kent Hughes, especially with some of the guys, Barron, and for instance. Schneider's a big right defenseman. He was kind of like, poor man's Caden Gooley, or not poor man's, but similar type player to Gooley in his draft year, went a little later. Kind of fits the bill for what the Canadiens need. He's not very old, so he can be part of this. He could be part of this, group over the next 5-6 years that maybe even 8 years or whatever, but next few years anyways. He's just hitting his prime as a defenseman. Maybe Braden Schneider, somebody that they, all these other guys are kind of keep checking off these other guys. So it's getting down to where, if White Cloud's not being moved, if I don't think the Canadiens are probably not going after Parayko, maybe Braden Schneider is the guy that they go after. Mark Stone put on IR. Oh, well, it's March. I think he's played in his last 5 years 70 games in March or something, or they were saying 30 or 40, some ridiculously low number of games that Mark Stone has played. Has played in March. So, yeah, it's like clockwork, right? Some of the stuff that I've been reading here, apparently Tuck's looking for $10.5 million a year. That's kind of steep. Frank Saravalli saying that among the teams that are potentially interested in a netminder, I would include Ottawa, Montreal, the Vegas Golden Knights. We keep, and that's one of the look. the Canadiens could use a big defenseman, a big forward, and an improvement in net. Like, but I don't think they have to be like premium. You know, a good number 5 defenseman on the right side, a good third line big winger or center, and you know, an upgrade on Montembeault and net. Those would be the 3 things that I think the Canadiens. It doesn't sound like that they want to deal. They want to part with any of the big 4, right? As far as prospects go, or the big 3 or whatever. Hage, Reinbacher, and Fowler. So that being the case, maybe they, you know, they're not going to be in the Thomas sweepstakes. You know, the rumors that I hear, either Goalie or Reinbacher, it doesn't make sense because Goalie and Reinbacher are the 2 types of defensemen that they need if they want to win at playoff time. Like, they need one more of that, let alone trading away one of them. Then they need 2, right? I mean, like these rumors where, oh, Goalie, like I think people just, oh, well, let's, you know, he's injury prone, so why don't we, that's probably who St. Louis, Montreal's not trading Caden Goalie. I just can't see it. That's what they need, is another one, you know? They need Reinbacher's coming, they got Goalie, they need one more like that. I think, to compete seriously for a cup over the next few years. They've got lots of offense. They need more physicality, size, defensive defensemen. That's what they need. You know, the only time the Montreal Canadiens went to the Stanley Cup final in the last 33 years, what did they have? They had Edmondson, they had Sherratt, they had Weber. You know, they had even Petrie was like 6'3", and you know, when he put his mind to it, he was a good one-on-one defender at least, right? But you know, they had size, they had vets, they had physicality, and they're going to need that if they want to win 4 playoff series in the future here. So, Braden Schneider, I would think, is someone that is probably on the Habs radar. Well, yeah, and I've mentioned this before, and some people are saying it. I think, you know, Line A probably has to be the first move, and we see that, and then we can see other deals being made. But it's also a possibility that Line A is part of a 3-team trade, right? Maybe the big splash, if the Canadiens make one, it will involve Line A being a 3-team or 4-team thingamading, and one of them takes on the salary that's got to be above the floor or whatever. Like somebody was mentioning to me about, like Blake Coleman, I think is somebody that the Canadiens wouldn't mind getting. You know, he was a big piece of Tampa team that won cups. But again, it would be pricey, but it was brought to my attention that Calgary is close to the floor here. So the Canadiens, if they did trade for Coleman and White Cloud or one of the, they probably would have to give back a roster player. Like, I don't know if Calgary would take Line A on, but the other possibility is like someone like a Jake Evans. And I had said that before, like perhaps, you know, Evans is part of a deal with Calgary if they made one. Carrier, like if they do decide to trade, they already traded Uyghur and he was their only, you know, he and I believe he and Whitecloud are the only veteran right defenseman on Calgary, or were. Now it's down to just Whitecloud. Well, maybe then, and because they're close to the floor, if they did do a deal with Calgary, maybe you ship Carrier to Calgary, right? So he's part of the package going the other way. Like if they were to get White Cloud, they might have to say, okay, Carrier is part of it, keeps you guys from being under the floor. They have to be above the floor, salary floor. Or maybe they would take on Line A, maybe, you know. I don't know, Winnipeg. I had a chat with Connor Rabchak. We haven't heard anything really Winnipeg, right? Like, is there anybody available? I I mean, Morgan Barron would be a great guy to add, and Connor Rabchak had mentioned that, you know, if you were going for a Winnipeg Jet, that he'd be a great add, but he doesn't think that Winnipeg would give him up. Uh, 15 teams supposedly interested in White Cloud. Okay. Well, maybe he is available then. Um, Logan Stanley. No, I'm not a Logan Stanley guy. I think the price would be too high for him. I've just seen way too much. Ristolainen or Rasmus Ristolainen, it would be another possibility in Philly. I hear the price is pretty high for him now too, but he'd be a nice guy to have if you could get him. Again, I know that defensemen can take time and they improve. Sometimes the light bulb doesn't go off till they're, you know, later 20s, and that's probably the case to a certain degree with both Stanley and Ristolainen. But you know, as someone who scouted them and didn't like them that much in their draft years, and just like I didn't like Samuelson in Buffalo a lot, it's hard to get over that bias. But you know, especially if you have to you have to offer quite a bit. Luke Shan is a possibility, but I find him he's pretty slow, and the Canadians really play an up tempo game, and I'm not sure. Like Luke was always slow, but I think he's even slower now. Seen him really get burnt a couple of times on goals recently. That it scares me. So again, I don't know. Uh, so we've got to let's have a look here. What's Pulak trending for? Oh, Darren Drager's trending. What's he saying now? I don't imagine Pulak's getting traded or anything. Colton, yeah. So he decided not to waive his. GMs are describing the NHL landscape as a buyer's market. Yeah, well, tons of players in play. Keep an eye on the Sabres. Sources say talks between Buffalo and St. Louis are heating up. I've heard that it's not a buyer's market, but anyway. So some of the trades that have been Tyler Myers, there's another guy that, you know, big right defenseman, right? There's such a premium on them. And the longer this goes on, the more it makes me wonder if maybe the Habs, you know, maybe they are going to call up, maybe they're going to sell a defenseman and call up Reinbacher. Maybe they think he is ready, like I do, you know. Maybe Struble gets dealt. Maybe Carrier gets dealt. And they call up Reinbacher, and there's their big right defenseman that they add. But typically, teams are adding a veteran, big defensive defenseman, right defenseman down the stretch, and not a guy that has never played a game. But I don't know, like there are those options, right? And it's the same deal with, like, you know, the Habs don't absolutely have to get somebody like Robert Thomas, especially if you got to give up goalie and Hage and a first, and I mean, then like I say, goalie, they need a goalie on the right side, and getting rid of goalie means that you got to replace him twice, as far as I'm concerned. Um, and then Hage, well, you know, it boggles my mind how the Canadians, there's all this, they have to upgrade second center. They have to upgrade second center. Oliver Kapanen's not, he's not a good second center. I went back over, and I've been talking about doing this for a while now, but I went back 29 years. Okay. Cappy's on pace. He's got 19. He's on pace for 26. He may not get it. Maybe he ends up with 24, let's say. But still, okay, he's on pace for 26 goals. As a rookie center, the Canadiens' record for a rookie center, excluding the 1920s when, there was a goal explosion and Newsy Lalone and Joe Malone came from the NHA and they were like 30 years old almost. They weren't really rookies, right? But because it was a brand new league, they were considered that. Excluding those two guys, the most goals by an NHL rookie center on the Montreal Canadiens in over 100 years is Jacques Lemaire with 22, and Cappy's going to break that. Okay, but even more so, here is the total for Montreal's second line centers over the past 29 years, how many goals they've scored. Because I was thinking, you know what? I bet you Cappy is going to have more than any of them. Well, here we go, starting with last year, okay? 13 goals, 15, 14, 13, 5. That was pandemic year, but still 50. That was Deneau, 5 and 50 was the second best total by a center on the Habs. 13, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 16, 10, 16. Scott Gomez with a whopping 7. Remember those days? Second line center, 7 goals. 10, 16, 16, 21, 17, 16, 21. That's the high, by the way. 10, 12, 7, 12, 14, 17. So twice in the last 29 years, a center got more goals than Cappy already has 60 games in. And it was only 21, and Cappy's going to break that, I would say, easily. So Kapanen is going to be the highest scoring center, second line center on the Montreal Canadiens since Damphus, Koivu, and Muller were together in 1996, 29 years. So, but yet, got upgrade on him. Throw in the fact that he's a rookie and that he kills penalties regularly. Like, the potential, the sky is only going up on him. Do they absolutely have to get Robert Thomas with him, being the best goal scoring second line center they've had in 29 years as a rookie, and Michael Hage, who the best ever forward prospect the Montreal Canadiens have had at the World Juniors this past year, the best center at the World Juniors this past year, arguably the best center in college hockey as a sophomore, him coming up. Do they absolutely have to blow go all in for Robert Thomas? I'd like to get him, but if the two main chips are Goalie and Hage, no, I don't think that's wise, because I think I'm comfortable with Kapanen and Hage fighting it out over the next few years as the second line center. Kapanen's already proved that he can do the job, and Hage might even be better. So, are either of them Robert Thomas? No, but Robert Thomas isn't Caden Gooley either, and that's more of what the Canadiens have. The second most goals per game in the NHL, and they're 27th in goals against. So another scorer is not their absolute necessity here. They've got enough scoring. And Cappy, on that line, yeah, he doesn't have a pile of assists. No, he doesn't drive the play, but partly a big reason why he doesn't drive the play on that line is because Kapanen and Slav, you only have one puck. You can't have three guys driving the play. Those two are more than capable of bringing the puck up, so they do. Cappy plays the defensive posture, right? Cappy's the one that always changes early. Like, he's the least selfish player, I think, in the league when it comes to that. They have 3-on-2s and he goes off all the time because, he's thinking team first all the time. But, I mean, he's the defensive conscience on that line. He hangs back, right? He does a lot of little things that allow Demidov and Slav to concentrate on offense. Yeah, I mean, and I've mentioned it many times, like the cup-winning centers, second line on a lot of teams through in recent years, like guys like Cirelli, Bennett, Stevenson, they weren't high scorers. They were good defensively first and foremost. So, and then this other, and I keep getting it all the time. Well, Kapanen wouldn't have any goals if he didn't play with Demidov. I went back and looked at it. Demidov has the primary assist on 5 of Kapanen's 19 goals. Like, I had somebody tweet me today saying, yeah, anybody could get 20 goals on Demidov, like 20 empty net goals playing with Demidov. Like, I like Demidov, but the narrative gets a little ridiculous after a while. He's a rookie in the NHL, just turned 20. He's good, but let's give Kapanen some freaking credit here. 26% of his goals have been set up by Demidov. So that's not, it's his freaking line mate all year. It should be that. Like, if you've got only one guy that's your line mate all year, he should be setting up 26% of your goals, whether it's Demidov or not. So, and one was with an empty net. All the others, Cappy actually had to shoot the damn thing and beat the goalie. So this narrative is it's getting a little ridiculous that Kapanen would be nothing without Ivan Demidov. And then the other one is, oh, well, if he was a third line center, he wouldn't have 19 goals. That to me is the stupidest logic that you can come up with when it comes to a player. If Cole Caulfield was a third line center, he wouldn't have 35 goals. If Ivan Demidov was or not a third line center, I mean a third line winger. If Ivan Demidov was on the third line, he wouldn't have 35 assists. Like, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, like, it's a stupid hypothetical as far as I'm concerned. Kapanen isn't the third line center because he's good enough to be the second line center, and he's scored 19 goals and he's deserving of every one of them. So anyway, I don't think Montreal is going to trade Hage, Reinbacher, Goalie, like 2 of those 3 in a package deal for Thomas, because it doesn't even sound like that's enough. Sounds like you'd also have to throw in a first and maybe Engstrom or something. I'd pass. If they didn't have a center that was going to score the most goals in team history as a rookie, if they didn't have the first, like, the best World Junior center that they've ever had this past year coming up, then yeah, okay, get Robert Thomas by all means, by trading Hage and Goalie or whatever. But it just, like, even still, I'd be hesitant to trade Goalie because then you need a Goalie, and they're not easy to find. So I just I don't think Thomas is going to be a Hab here at the trade deadline. Here's another one, Uyghur. There were some people saying, oh, Calgary should have got more for that. Well, I mean, those aren't three. Just a second. Those aren't three second round picks that are going to be in the 50s. Like a couple of those are going to be half decent, right? You figure the Rangers' second round picks likely top 40. Ottawa's will be somewhere in the 40s. Utah's might be in the 40s. So those, it's not like these are the 60th overall picks. And Mata, who's a serviceable defenseman, and I'd like Jonathan Castagna. I mean, he's come from Tier 2 junior. He's in his second year this year in Cornell, and he's really taken a step up. I like him. I thought he should have been a second-round pick in his draft. So if you want to look at it that way, 4 second-round picks, 4 in the 4 top 50 picks for Mackenzie Weegar, for a team that's that's clearly rebuilding. I don't mind that. I don't mind that return for Calgary at all, to be honest with you. Okay. Ekman Larson. Yeah. Again, they're not going to make a trade with Toronto. It's very unlikely. You have to have one to be traded, Struble, more choice. If you have one to be traded, Struble, more choice. Well, thing is, like, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but if it's for Calgary, I think they need back a little more salary, and that would be Carrier. And if they trade again, Struble's a left defenseman and Carrier is a right. And if they trade their only remaining veteran right defenseman, I think they want back a right defenseman. So in that instance, Carrier makes more sense. But certainly as far as trades to most teams goes, I think Struble and Engstrom are the more likely pieces to be moved by the Canadiens. All right, let's get to a few more. What do we got here? Yeah, Leafs trade Roy for a first and a fifth. That's a good return. And I already talked about it. I think Leafs did okay with that. LeBrun was saying, I think the Canadiens inquired on Connor Murphy earlier this week. Well, that's good because I thought they should have got him, to be honest with you. Tells you that a right-hand shot is also part of the conversation. I was happy to see that because, I really think that that's what the Canadiens need to do here. They may as well go for it, right? Teams that are especially that could win their division and maybe even their conference, it's rare that they don't try to add something, The Canadiens have loads of loaded at prospect there. I just saw somebody did a ranking. Like for me, under 25, the Habs are right at the top, and even under 21, they, some organization ranked them top 5 the other day. So easily one of the best prospect crops. All of their draft picks, right? They've got lots of draft picks coming up. They have great 19 to 25 core already on the team. So, they've got the assets to go for it. Nash, I'd say a goalie, Kadri and White Cloud, but I'd sell for Laine getting moved. And any of the above. Yeah. Again, Kadri, no, I don't want Kadri. Unless, I don't know. If you can get him for like third center value, then okay, but you'd have to pay second center value. And I don't think, I don't like Kadri to begin with. So from a personal level, Kadri wouldn't be my first choice. He's 35. He's on the decline. He's got a pretty big salary for a declining player. bit of a nut job, I think. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't be going. I'd go Coleman before I go Kadri. Hello from Mexico. Well, good day, go Habs. Pareko refusing to go to Buffalo. Yeah, that's the big news. That's the big news. All right, let's get back. Anything breaking here? What's Arvidsson trending for? I'll just be going through this. Playoffs are flirting in contention. Middlestat, Arvidsson, maybe. Peak. Yeah, if they're sellers. And again, Montreal too, like they have extra assets. So I think they may be kind of sellers and buyers, if that makes sense. Like guys, they may get rid of some roster players as well as pick up, but it ends up working out to being buyers because they should be upgrading, right? But I mean, they could get rid of Line, if they get a veteran center and they need to return salary, maybe Veleno, Evans, guys like that get moved. Maybe Struble is part of a deal. So I think some roster players, perhaps Montreal, are going to be dealt here because they have to make up room anyways if they pick up another player or two, unless they just want to lose them for free on waivers. So typically the Habs don't want to do that. Yeah, Simo's saying Ristolainen and now Pareko still available. Yeah, well. Yeah, so Buffalo's on the hunt. Yeah, I guess maybe they offer Mertka in the first for Ristolainen now. Or something like that, right? Why announce a trade before the players agree if they have no trade? Seems silly. Yeah, well, that sounds like a agent type thing, right? Am I wrong? But everyone wants Thomas and are willing to give Hage and a boatload of other players. The problem is Thomas plays out west. I'm sure his body is bruised and battered. The East is stronger. East is stronger than the West this year, Costa. Why would they be any more battered playing in the West than playing in the East? But I don't think Kent will trade anyone. Oh, well, Rick. Glad you're not running this podcast. You'd have about 10 viewers. Slow P. What's up, Grant? Hey, regular car guy. What do you think about going for Kovacevic? Yeah. I don't know. They weren't that high on him. They got rid of him. I don't know how high are they on him, right? Oh, yeah, the other thing that's been but, I mean, he'd make more sense than Nemec. I don't, is there any logic behind going for Simon Nemec beyond him being best buddies with Slav? I mean, Machar was great buddies with Slav too, and what did that get him, right? Simon Nemec is not what the club needs. They've got plenty of scoring, and that's his main value. He's a puck-moving, playmaking defenseman, and the Canadiens, they've got that already. Simon Nemec is not a great skater. He's not a great defender. He's never going to be a great defender. He's not overly physical. He's not he's average size or below average size. It's not what they need. They don't need another you can't have 6 offensive defensemen with no physicality that aren't great defenders. It's just, and then you pay a premium too. Friggy was a 2nd overall pick from 4 years ago. And also, I mean, buyer beware here. You know, I was not. I thought the picking him second overall was way too high in the first place. Like, I would not have picked him second overall. And it's pretty clear, you know, this is a team that's not going to make the playoffs. And they're looking to unload a 22-year-old that they picked second overall. They would know him better than anybody else. Why are they doing that, right? Like, they, I mean, they've kind of clued in, like I sort of already knew in his draft year, that he's not as good as his New Jersey scouts thought when they picked him second overall. I There were a lot of my friends in the scouting business, and me included, that did not have Nemec in the top 10, let alone second overall. Yeah, he's going to get you some points, but away from the puck and defensively, there are issues there. And clearly, New Jersey's aware of that now, or they wouldn't, a team that's missing the playoffs, that you don't trade 22-year-old top two picks, when you're not a playoff team, you're looking to the future. That tells you all you got to know, that, you know, this guy's not, he's overhyped, and also there's just no fit in Montreal besides him being buddies with Slav. But, you know, like, that's a silly reason to pick up a player, as far as I'm concerned. So, no, doesn't. Nemec makes no sense. That's not what they need. They need big, physical, defensive right defenseman, I think. Two. Ristolainen, Parayko, Van Riemsdyk, DeMello, Shen, Carlo still available. Yeah. Van Riemsdyk, where is he playing now? Isn't he? How available is Van Riemsdyk? I don't know. Is he not Carolina or something? No? That guy's moved around so much. I have no idea where he's playing even now. Somebody was mentioning, somebody in the Montreal media mentioned Pedersen again too. Why? The price would be really high. He's soft. I don't like his contract's grossly overpaid. He's not a defensive center. Ugh. Just doesn't make any sense for the Montreal Canadiens to be pursuing Elias Pettersson. Again, it's this fascination with, your second line center's got to, potentially be a 70, 80 point scorer. Again, you tell me in the past decade how many second line centers on cup winners were 80 points, offense first centers. None. That's not what you need in the second slot. And he's not even on that kind of a pace this year, is he? Like, the last 2 years, what's Pettersson? Like, he's a declining asset too. And at that salary, I mean, that might possibly be the last guy that I'd try to trade for. And it was just, no way. Yeah, he had 45 points last year, and he's got 37 so far this year. So he's likely going to get about 50. He's got 13 goals, captain, and he had 15 last year. Cappy's got 19. And he's better defensively already. So, yeah, instead of a $900,000 Cappy with 6 more goals than this guy that plays way better defense, it isn't soft, let's give up a few assets and pay $8 million more so he can replace a guy that's got 6 more goals. There's no logic in it whatsoever. None. Francis Daig. Hey guys, it's been a while. I hope you're all okay. Good day. Oilers had to pay to get rid of Mangiapane, unless someone thinks Dickinson, Colton are worth a first-round pick. Well, actually, I do have that here. Let me just bring it up. Dickinson and Colton Dock for Mangiapane in a conditional 2027 first-round pick. Chicago will retain 50% of Dickinson's salary. So there's several considerations here, Francois. Dickinson, I saw somebody mentioning it. His goal differential in Chicago was +7 or +8 over the last 2 years, and the team as a whole was -95. So his two-way game, probably the best defensive forward on Chicago, but he also gets some points. And I don't mind Colton Dock. He's a big forward that will help them at playoff time too. And Dickinson's salary with them keeping half is going to be half of what the going rate is for like the average salary in the NHL. They're going to be paying Dickinson half the average salary. I don't know, that they have to go for it here. This is the window for I like them picking up Murphy, and I like them picking up Dickinson, because what they need is defensive play here. And 2 years ago he was a 22 goal scorer. That's with a Chicago team with very little for him to play with. Like, he wasn't on a line with Bedard really. So he's 6'2", brings some physicality. I don't mind that they needed to make that kind of deal. It's not always about the points. Just like, people are looking at the point totals for McCagg and saying, how do you trade a second round pick for him? Well, the pick's going to be in the 50s or 60s. McCarron's 6'6". He can fight. Like, he'll fight anybody. He can hang in with anyone. He top 5 in hits and block shots among all NHL centers. First unit power penalty killer. Very physical. 53% on draws, so he's very good on draws as well. Plays .250 a game on the PK, so he's a very a good penalty killer. You need those pieces at playoff time, and a pick in the 50s or 60s, 20% of them ever become regulars in the NHL, let alone 6'6" ones that can fight, block shots, win faceoffs, hit. People don't get it sometimes when it comes to players, like, and what helps you win at playoff time. Like, you don't just. No team has ever won the Stanley Cup with 12 20-goal scorers, right? 12 50-point scorers. There has to be a mix. You got to have the Jimmy Roberts and the Bob Gaineys and the Doug Jarvises. Montreal they could have had Peter Lee in the lineup, and Norm Dupont, and all these guys that Rod Shute, guys that were 70, 80 goal scorers in junior, and sure, they could have not had Gainey in the lineup, and Jarvis, and Chartrand and Roberts, and went with tried to have like 12, 20, 25 goal scorers. Would they have won the cup? No, they wouldn't have, because you got to keep the puck out of your own net too. Till they start playing with one net at the other team's end, and you don't have a net, you've got to have defensive players, and they're valuable, especially at playoff time when defense wins. You need crease clears and on your defense. Montreal, as I said to start the show, Edmondson, Sherratt, Weber, yeah, Carey Price was a goaltender for 15 years, and he never got them to the final. And people will say, well, they never do it without Carey Price. Well, they never do it without Sherratt, Edmondson, and Weber back there. They're huge, huge pieces to huge reasons why they got through 3 playoff series and made it to the finals. It wasn't just Carey Price, because he'd had 14 other chances to do that and never did it because he didn't have that defense. And then that fourth line that they had out there, right? Armia, Corey Perry, and Stahl, all 6'3" plus, heavy, cycled the puck, wore down the other team's top line, wore down the other team's defenseman, had the puck cycled in the offensive zone, constantly. Well, that was a huge part of it too. Those were 2 key elements to why Montreal, for the first time in 33, well, at the time it was 28 years, to go to to make it all the way to the Cup final, was because those were huge factors. Having that heavy veteran fourth line that really was the third or second line in ice time because of how important they were and how much they ended up playing, and having those tree trunks on defense, huge factors. Which is why I think that they need to, if they hope to win. I'm sure the goal here is to win more than 1 game in the playoffs this time around. I'm sure they want to win at least 1 playoff series. And with the lineup that they currently have, I don't know that they can do that unless they make some additions here, and those types of players. I think it's a must. So we'll see. Like, even if they added Robert Thomas, they still need that right defenseman and the big, bottom 6 forward. They need that as well. Torobchenko, Parayko, White Cloud, Coleman, like either one of those teams and both of those players. Like, I don't know if Montreal wants to do a blockbuster type where they get multiple players from a team, but if they do and they're chatting with them and they can swing some sort of a deal, like, I wouldn't mind that pair from either team, right? I think it addresses their main needs, other than, or perhaps even like St. Louis. All right, let's do a big one here. Binnington, Parayko, and Torobchenko, or Binnington and Torobchenko. They're not likely getting Parayko, but let's say Binnington, Torobchenko, okay? And then you go get Coleman or something from Calgary or whatever. White Cloud from Calgary. That's what I'm going after if I'm Montreal here. Those would be targets for me. If they could add Binnington somehow, but let's say they did a package where they got Torobchenko and Binnington. Well, just for fun, give me who you think the Canadiens would give up for those two. Like, assuming that they take Monty back. Hofer's the starting goalie now in St. Louis, so Monty, serviceable backup in the NHL, might even find his game in a new environment, just like Binnington, I think, would be better somewhere else at this point. Torobchenko, to me, would be a perfect addition to the bottom 6. I would like, that would be a player that I would target if he's at all available. I think he'd be really good to have on that in that bottom six in one of the spots. But you know, would Engstrom, Montembeault, uh, Doc, or sorry, not Doc, Beck, and a first be too much? Yeah, you wouldn't have to do the first, like a second or something for Bennington and Torchenko. I'd look at something like that, you know. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see if they do anything. I have no idea who they're interested in, who they're talking to. Don't know. Frank V85. Look, I don't expect much from the Habs. We weren't supposed to be this good. Trust the process. Trust the process. That's the new popular saying in the league. I hate those sayings. Anyway, yeah, trust the process. Thanks, Frankie. Yeah, I thought that they were going to be this good, and I expect something from the Habs because the East is wide open. Monty, Engstrom, Beck, and a pick. Yeah, well, that's what I just said. So, yeah, okay. I agree, Jay. We don't always agree on things, but I agree. Like, the more potential years that you have an open window, you open that window, right? Because just like we're seeing with Toronto, all of a sudden that freaking window can be closed a lot sooner than you think. Somebody, a big wig, like can leave in free agency, like Marner did, and guys can get older, and all of a sudden their window's closed, right? Well, like Carolina, it ended up costing Ron Francis his job because he kept every year he wouldn't go for it at the trade deadline, and he just we'll keep collecting assets and draft picks. And next thing he turned around and he was fired, right? Because they weren't winning because he was afraid to pull the trigger. Well, Cappy's a great story, bar on his own merit. You would have to be ignorant not to see such one of the bright stories of many in Montreal so far this year. Yeah, for sure, man. Nobody gets more. He gets more, and I don't get it. Why so many are tough on him? It's always. He wouldn't have those goals playing on another line. Well, he's not playing on another line, so shut up. How do you know Demidov would have as many points as he has if he was playing with, I don't know, Evans and, if you'd have given Demidov, Evans, and Balduke all year, do you think he'd have 35 assists? No. So what's it any different for Kapanen? But Demidov's he's the golden child, right? So just people, it gets frustrating. Scott Lawton. It's funny, hey? They really overpaid for Lawton, and good luck getting back what you gave up. Minton and a first for Lawton. Ooh. That's good luck getting back a Minton and a first for Scott Lawton. This has to be it for Trey Living. Like, I heard rumor that maybe Armstrong ends up going there. I hope not, because that would they'd actually have their first competent GM in about 30 years. Okay. Let's get back to no trades happening. See, I wanted Montreal to have a blockbuster while I was on here, right? Do I have to keep, so do I have to stay on all night? Go till like, go 24 straight hours here, folks? No, I don't think so. Brandon Bussey has 2 9-game win streaks. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? Like, not bad at all. Mark Stone, that one gets me. Yeah. Injured reserve, Mark Stone. It's like a broken record. And he'll be miraculously ready to go day before the he'll be good to go. Just like clockwork. And it also is one day before the trade deadline comes up. Like, it's just, give me a break. Anyway. Yeah. $4 from, or $5 from F. Summers here. Thank you for the contribution. Thanks for including us in all your podcasts. Yeah. Well, hey, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for all the, like, this is a great group here, and people, the Habs have the best fan base in the world. So it's, believe me, it goes 2 ways here. I have, I'm glad that we can interact like this, because you guys are, you're a great bunch. Sean Myers, what's the condition on the Roy first? I don't know for sure about that. Toronto's not trading in their division, Nick. Well, yeah. No, they aren't. Set me on fire, but I think the Habs should move Struble and Xhekaj right now if the market is so hot. Yeah. Well, they're not playing them enough, right? Yeah, move them, but on the condition that you get back. That's why I think they could be sellers and buyers, right? They might not be one for one. Like, they might sell Struble or Xhekaj and then get back. But also, I mean, if White Cloud's on the table here, and Calgary, as rumored by Herb Zurkowski, is maybe interested in Xhekaj, well, maybe, like, one of the reasons I got White Cloud is he brought some physicality to the lineup. Well, Arbor could do the same thing for Calgary, right? Maybe maybe there's a deal there where Xhekaj goes to Calgary for White Cloud. Montreal would probably have to add a little something, but I don't think it would have to be significant. Like, I think Arbor's got decent trade value. He brings that element, right? So maybe, that's a possibility, right? Xhekaj, Evans, Laine's contract, and first for Coleman and White Cloud or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I'd consider something along those lines. I sure do miss Dick Irvin, Howie Meeker, and Bob Cole. Viewer from Cape Breton. Hey, Joanne. P.S. Keep up the great work, Grant. Habs should be calling you soon. Again, I love your player analysis. You have the eye. Thanks. That's really kind of you, and I appreciate you contributing. And I think this is the first time you've maybe said something, and I really appreciate it. Bob Cole from Newfoundland. So maritime kind of connection there, right? Howie. Howie was great too. I loved Howie Meeker. You got to get the puck in the corner. I used to, my sisters, we'd play table hockey at night. You got to shoot the puck in the corner. I used to crack them up. I used to do a pretty good Howie impersonation back in the day. Thanks, Joanne. Hey, Grant, any chance you think Stamkos could be moved? Well, if you have followed me for any length of time, you know that Stammer. I'd love the Canadiens to get Stamkos, right? Like, I don't know. There aren't many guys that I think make sense for the Canadiens that are top 6 guys, but if you could get Stamkos, I think he'd be great on that top line. And there's obviously the connection with Marty and Vinny Lecavalier, right? Going back to their Tampa days. So, yeah, that'd be one guy but it sounds like he doesn't want to move. And apparently Montreal wasn't one of the teams that he would agree to move to. Ryan O'Reilly's another possibility. I suppose Braden Shen to a certain degree. With the sniping ability that Pickford has, do you think he could make the NHL as a winger? God, guys always talking about moving. No. He scores from the point. He's a good defenseman. He'll be a good defenseman. Don't like I hear it all the time. I get this question. Sorry, movies to share, but about Jack-Eye, and now it's Pickford all the time. How many defensemen have moved to forward in the last 50 years? Wendell Clark. It's a short list. It really is. Out of thousands of players, and now Montreal should do it for two of their 20 or their 50. Move the wing when there's been one in the last 5,000. It's not, it just doesn't make sense. It's absurd to call Kapanen a Demidov merchant. Yeah. What do you say to have Shane and Snake saying Kapanen is a third line winger, not really a center? Oh, I don't care. They can say whatever they want. Line A, Owen Beck, Joshua. At least Snake has upgraded him from he'll never be more than a fourth line, right? At one point, I think early in the year it was he'll be back in Europe in 2 years, and it was he's a fourth line. I don't know. Snake has got it. He gets his opinions early on some Habs guys. Like Caulfield was a one-trick pony. All he could do was shoot. Hudson was just a gadget player. Like, I'd rather not. I don't like to pigeonhole guys early on because all it can do is make you look like a fool later on. So I'd rather just not. Simo, love the guy, great guy, but he likes to make these predictions on guys when it's way too early, and I don't like doing that, and I'd rather not. Hey, it gets them clicks, right? It gets them clicks. They get more people watching their podcasts than mine. It works for them, whatever. I don't. That's not. That's not my style, and yeah, that it's just the way it is. I'll never be hugely popular, but I'll also, just keep doing things my way. Not have to look back in 5 years and say, "Oh, that was a silly thing for me. Why did I make that prediction. I don't like to do that, to pigeonhole a player, because you don't know. You can make all the predictions you want, and you know, for me, like a Kapanen is like third liner or a second liner. It's one or the other. He's going to be a middle liner. He's already good on faceoffs for, you know, um, he, he's such a, he's so good away from the puck and in his own zone. And that is the most important thing for a centerman. Like, there's this perception that if you play center, you've got to you've got to have 50 assists, right? Well, not many do. And, you know, Kapanen's going to be a 25 to 35 goal scoring center. Maybe he won't be a 50 assist center, but, you can play, when you play with two play driving wingers that are going to get a lot of assists, you don't have to get 50 assists. That's your two winger. You don't have to drive the play. You only have one puck, right? You have one puck on the ice. Slav is becoming more and more of a play driver. Demidov is a great play driver. There's one puck. So does Kapanen have to be a play driver? No. He sits back a bit. He's the defensive conscience of the three. He covers the middle of the ice. He's excellent in his own zone down low. He's a great defensive center. And again, anytime you're over 45% as a rookie in the faceoff circle in the NHL, that really bodes well. And like, you look back on a lot of centers, rookie centers are never at the top of the faceoff. It might be once every 10 years, they're never the very best faceoffs, because it's something that takes time. There's so many little tricks, repetition, learning. And, like, if you look back at Phil Deneau's faceoff stats as a rookie, Kapanen's right there with him. His faceoff stats are better than Suzuki's were, right? Like, anytime you're plus 45 as a rookie in the faceoff dot, and he's 48%, that's very good. And the odds are he's going to be probably a 52. With experience, he'll be a 52 plus percent. That's what, that's the progression that you usually see. Anyone that's around 48 or plus as a rookie center in the NHL, typically with experience becomes he's above 50 for sure. And anytime you're above 50, that's good, especially in Montreal. Jake Evans. You look at Jake Evans as his first couple of years, it was around 45, I believe. I mean, I don't even want to mention Kirby Dogs, but I'm just going to bring up Jake Evans here. Let's see. What is oh, okay. No, sorry, I'm wrong on Evans. He's been he was 50.1 and 49.8 his first two seasons in the league. So he was a little better. And now he's 56%. But it just goes to show you, like, he's, or 56 this year. So he's basically 6% higher now than he was in his first full year. And typically a center is about 6 to 10% better by the time they've played 6-7 years in the league, right? But also you got to consider that Evans was like 25 before he was a regular in the NHL too. So he had the 4 years of learning face-offs in college and 3 years in the AHL, right? And so he was like Cappy's 22, and he's first year in North America, 48% of faceoffs. That bodes really well for him being a 54. You know, wouldn't be surprised if 3 years from now he's 52 to 55% on faceoffs. So and a penalty killer. I don't, you know, I also think that his assist totals, as he gets more used to the NHL here and adapts, he's still adapting to the speed, still adapting to stick handling at the NHL level. He's a rookie, right? I think that's only going to improve the assist totals and his playmaking as he goes along, because he does see the ice well. I don't think that he lacks creativity. He's just still adapting as a rookie to the smaller ice, the bigger players, the faster pace. I see Cappy as a center, middle line center. I've said that for 3 years, and I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to it. But that's that's not pigeonholing him. That's he might maybe down the road he's third line center. Like, I'll concede that, as much as I love him. Maybe Hage ends up being second line center and he's third. I can't, I'm not going to predict and say, no, for sure he's going to be second line center forever here and Hage will never be it, because, things can change. I've done this. I've been doing this, covering the Habs for so long. And, I look back on when I did, especially on my website Recruits, I do lineup projections 3 years from now, and I look back on it in a few years and wow, I got about 5. I might have got 5 right, because things change so much. Like lineup, the Habs lineup won't look anything like it does right now 5 years from now. So we'll see. Larock just said Reinbacher's have major trouble in Laval this year. George Larock. Big George. Well, he's not. I will respectfully disagree with Big George on that one. That second line from Montreal doesn't really need improving. No, I don't think so. Yeah, Kapanen and Reinbacher. They seem like they're the whipping boys in French media, right? I don't know. Gudis or Truba, but I don't think they're on the market. No. Anaheim's right in the thick of the race, man. They're not getting rid of those guys. I wouldn't have any issue whatsoever with Reinbacher over Carey in the playoffs. No, I wouldn't really either. I just think that they need another one. Because you've got Reinbacher over Carrier, then you still got your 10-minute left defenseman, either Struble or Jacky, right, on the left. You still got a left defenseman on the right. Like, ideally for me, Reinbacher's in the lineup and White Cloud on the right. Then you've got Matheson, Goalie, Hudson on the left. That, to me, it would be the perfect lineup for the Canadiens in the playoffs. So I sort of half agree with you there, Glenn. No power play. That's right. Well, very little. And, yeah, he's got none of his 19 goals are on the power play. 1 short-handed and 18 even strength. His even strength goals per 60 is, I think, top 30 in the league. They can't move Line A with 50% retained without pick depends. Like if it's just for Line then you'd have to throw in a pick, but maybe it's part of a to a Calgary that needs to get above the floor anyway, right? I mean, you don't have to be doesn't have to be 1-for-1 type thing. It can be they can maybe get creative with it, right? Anything happening here on the trade front, folks? You getting anybody? Joe Zeke, 1963. I know how old you are, Joe. That's a new name, and you're not. Did you say anything, Joe? Thank you for the contribution, my friend. I really appreciate it. It's cool when I a new name and I get just sends me $5. That's pretty cool. Thank you. If Cappy's your third C, things are going well. Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. Okay. Somebody got fired. It says politics, so. Pierre LeBrun. Pierre's one of the better insiders. I like Pierre. He's not usually too far off in things. Going to be an awkward day in practice. No, I know. These deals, yeah, and it's not just Mertka, it's Pareko too. You know, what does Nick Dowd? Wow. Okay. I didn't see this one earlier. Nick Dowd from Washington for Jesper Vikman and a third-round pick and a second-round pick. Dowd was a pain in the ass the other night against the Habs. He was the only one that was physical that night. Doc, Vegas, as always, they just hate to draft. I'd hate to be a friggin' scout on Vegas, man. I'd turn in my resignation, I swear. And of course, Blankenberg for a fifth rounder. It's funny they traded away the smaller Gerard and thinking, okay, so they're going big on defense, and now they just got back a 5'9", 5'10" defenseman for a fifth round pick. But that's not a very big price to pay for Blankenberg, who can play, can definitely play. 6'7" defenseman. Depth for them, right? Going into the playoffs. Invariably, if you go on a 3-4 round, 3 or 4 rounds, you are going to be Christy Nome got fired. Okay, well, we kind of saw that coming. She was getting grilled even by Republican senators yesterday. Hope she doesn't fire at her puppy for being fired. But anyway, enough political news. Let's get back to what's trending here. I guess all's quiet on the as I tweeted out earlier today. I think Kent needed to take his phone off of airplane mode there. Come on, Kent. I want my numbers. You were supposed to make a couple trades this week, buddy. You're not helping. Schneider. Johnny Golden. Tweeting a little early again, Johnny. Schneider in 60 games, 125 hits, 97 blocks. Not bad, eh? Yeah. Again, as I said near the top, I'll get to this next tweet I just saw, or sorry, comment. There's a history there. Bobrov and company drafted him, and Gorton was the GM in New York at the time. And this, unlike Cap Okako and Alexei Lafreniere, this first round pick turned out. So if New York's looking to move him, hey, Dobson, Schneider, Reinbacher on the right, Matheson, Goalie, Hudson on the left. That works. That works for me. Do I think David Savard would solve our goaltender problems? You know what? In seeing him practice the other day, looked like he was better on the long shots than Monty. So maybe he takes up a lot of room there. Grant, what do you think of the Habs trying to get Bobrovsky? Yeah, well, that's the other possibility. Sure, they've been apparently maybe interested, but if they don't pick up you don't just get Bobrovsky. That doesn't solve the lack of size, physicality in the bottom six, and it doesn't solve the issues on defense. Like, we can blame Montreal's poor defensive numbers a little bit on the goaltending, but there's also because they're not big enough, physical enough in the bottom six, in my opinion, and they need another guy that can clear the crease and clear the front of the net. Hi, Grant. This is Kevin from Halifax. G'day, Kevin. I would not give up Kapman or Hage. Struble I would trade. I would trade a first-round pick and a second for Thomas, and that's it. Yeah. Well, not getting Habs are not getting Thomas for that return. But you're saying like a first, a second, and Struble, I assume? That wouldn't do it. Big Buff and Burns. Yeah, but it was basically the opposite for those guys. They went from forward to defense. It wasn't the other way around. They didn't go from defense to forward. They bounced back a little bit a couple of times, but in junior, these guys were defensemen and they forwards and became defense, right? Burns went up, but what did he end up doing? He came back and played defense. So straight. Again, it wasn't like he was a defenseman in junior and then played up on the wing his whole NHL career. 99% of his NHL career he played defense, and he wasn't that good on the wing either. Doesn't happen very often, folks, like I say. Like, how long is it? Yeah. Not sure if White Cloud is available now that Calgary traded Weegar. No, and I was mentioning that. Guess you came late to the show there, Rick. Freaking work gets in the way, eh, buddy? Yeah. I said exactly that last night and again today. So I agree 100%. Ricky Ricardo, my old friend. If the Habs do nothing, will they lose in the first round? If they make the playoffs, yeah. Probably. Depends where they finish, too. If they play Buffalo or Tampa in the first round and they do anything, yeah, probably. Eric says Matheson isn't on the ice for Habs practice. Okay. Thanks, Ellen. By the way, as far as X goes, hey, we something went on there. If we can be civil and get along on here, I hope you don't go away and you're not too miffed. I'm glad to see that you're still on here and contributing. Thank you. What do you think of McCabe out of Toronto? Or on another note, who would be a great goalie clearing D-man? Yeah. Somebody who could clear goalies. I don't think McCabe's. They're not trading McCabe. I also don't think that they're going to deal anything significant with Toronto. Plekanec and Kordick were the two exceptions, but they were Montreal going the other way. Don't see Toronto wanting to help Montreal. The actual lineup the team dressed in a playoff game has to fit the cap well before you could bust it. Yeah. I think Matheson, it's probably just a maintenance day or whatever. They just re-signed him 5 years. They love Matheson. I've said this before. Rob Hudson told me he's just adored. Matheson's he's not practicing because he's going to get traded. I'd be absolutely shocked. You cannot cheat anymore with the salary cap. Yeah. I thought it was one more year, but I guess. Are you sure it's not? I know that it was part of the next CBA. Is that not? Or was it last summer that changed? The new CBA came in last summer. I thought it was one more summer. But anyway. Yeah, I know. It's just like I say, Stone, not a coincidence, right? That he seems to get hurt he's Mr. March. Habs will get a big nasty MF, yes. We can play 15 minutes on the right side, won't cost much more in a second, and it's 7th. I hope so, Joanne. That's what I'm hoping. And Parayko not going to Buffalo, yeah. And yeah, it was Carlo that was part of the Minton trade. You're right. Somebody had mentioned it, and in X, and they were wrong, and I was wrong to repeat it. But yeah, you're right. Lawton wasn't Minton. Sorry, they made so many bad trades that you get mixed up sometimes. Roy got a first. Lawton might get that. Maybe. But it probably won't be as good a one. What about Deschênes out of St. Louis? Yeah. I had mentioned him before, Outdoor Dad. Feel he's more attainable to support the C position than going looking for a big D. Well, I wouldn't just get Schneider. No, I think they need a defenseman more than they need Schneider. But I'd look into Schneider. I've mentioned him before, and yeah, there's an outside possibility there. Why not be sellers and move? Yeah. Well, I think they're going to do both. Regular car guy, if they can, move out a couple of players, bring back. Doc, is this based on his last game not being great? Because if the 5 before that, he had 6 points in 6 games before the last game, so No, I'm not getting rid of Doc based on him having one poor game. A lot of teams in the East have not moved yet. Yeah, Carolina always does something, right? Oh, yeah, the other guy. I don't want Trocheck necessarily, but I will say that at the whatchamacallit there, that Olympics, he was all right in that gold medal game, but I don't know. Again, there's these media guys, I think, assuming, oh, well, they want to, that the Habs just have to upgrade on Kapanen, and I don't see them going after Trocheck. I really don't. Again, where is the size and grit down the middle if you get Trocheck? He's undersized too. So where is the size and grit with Evans, Deneau, Trocheck, Suzuki? It just doesn't make any sense. I don't see it happening. Like, doesn't make sense. Great trade for Calgary, 3 seconds for a giveaway machine. Yeah, I thought they did okay. I really like Castagna. Like, that's no one's talking about him, but he's kind of the dark horse in that deal. Go check out his stats. And the fact that he came from where he came from, it's not like he came from major junior. And as a sophomore, he's more than a point a game, 16 goals, I believe. Good size. Actually, he played friggin' St. Andrews College, which isn't even tier 2. So he's coming from, just like it took, and I know Rick commented on him last year. Letourneau, oh, he got no points last year. Well, he's coming from St. Andrews College. The step up from that to college, like it's called St. Andrews College, but it's not college, right? I mean, it's a huge step, and it takes guys a year or two. Well, Castagna, both Letourneau and Castagna in their second years now, really, really doing well. So I like Castagna. I liked him in his draft year. I thought he should have been a second round pick, and maybe a top 40 guy the way he's playing right now. So, yeah. Sorry, this is Castagna's third year in college, but still, again, coming from where he came from, I've liked his progress. You know, 29 games, 14 goals, 18 assists. And this is, again, coming from St. Andrews College. He's a nice prospect. And he's plus 25 this year, too, playing in Cornell. Nice player. If changed their D system, would it help the defense core? I don't think you're going to change your D system 60 games in there, James. I know what you're saying, but I'm hoping this young group stays grounded. That's going to be the job of management with 22 games left. They're not in a comfortable, secured position of making the postseason. No. That's why I also think with other teams loading up that they shouldn't just sit on their hands, because they're not guaranteed to make the playoffs here, folks. If everybody else loads up around them, I don't know. Bring back Armia. Yeah. Hugo's being patient, and then will strike when everyone else is overpaid. There's so many young assets that rebuilding teams want. Hard to wait for us fans. Yeah. Would you kick the tires on Perry? Well, apparently he's they're going to re-sign him. No. Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't think Washington's still, they can make the playoffs here. I knew he was with a team that was either in the playoffs, but not one of the 9 that's selling, right? I don't know. He's 34. I don't think that they just got rid of Dowd, but I don't think they're completely blowing it up because they're still in the playoff race here, right? I'd be surprised. Let's just have a quick look at the. I mean, they were a couple of points back the other day. Are they still? At worst, they're 4 points out. What are they? 4 points out. But they played 63, and Boston's played 60. Still, I mean, you know, they're not dead here. So I don't know. Bring the boys from Laval up to get experience. It's more valuable as a team. I think they want Laval to win too. Because you need experience. These guys aren't ready, Costa. The only guy out of that group that's ready to help the team is Reinbacher. Thorpe's he's nowhere close to being ready. Neither is Thorpe. Jack-Eye hasn't progressed this year. Beck, well, we saw Beck earlier. There's no place for these guys. Well, bring up 5 guys and what? Put 5 guys on waivers and lose them for nothing? I mean, what? Who do they replace that's already in the lineup after you've got expanded rosters? Then you just let Laval just lose in the first round? I don't think that's going to be the plan here, Costa. Please don't quit your day job. Being a GM might not be your cup of tea. Zeffel, come on now. She's actually had some good comments. You don't have to quit your day. You won't quit your day job either. Okay. A few comments in here that I would trade Reinbacher, Struble, Waugh, Bolduc, Beck, and Laine. And a second for Rob Thomas. Yeah. Well, I agree with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those pieces, but I wouldn't include Reinbacher in there. Don't see him going anywhere. Yeah. Loving the Habs in terms of short-term goals. What are the teams in the past decade that did a great job at development while cup contending? Sean, as far as your comment about, you must do this, skip, look, I go through these things quickly, okay? I don't have time I'm by myself here. I don't have time to moderate everyone and remember if one's repeats another. Like, fine for you to come up with, if you don't like the format, it's too bad. Doing my best here, okay? Loving the Habs in terms of short-term, long-term goals. What are teams in the past decade that did a great job at development while contending? Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of concentrating on the trade deadline here, and don't have time to be focusing on that, thinking about it. Just get back to me after the trade deadline. Maybe we can ponder it, chew on it then. Wonder if Suzuki's done rinse and repeat from. Well, I don't think he's doing it again. Veteran goaltender for the short term and a veteran right-hand stay-at-home defenseman for the short term. Yeah. And as far as, Suzuki doing that, if I can't use this time, I say mind your own business. Get away with it once, but, I'm running the team here and I'll decide whether we need players or not. Hey, Grant, would Dougie Howland be a good fit for Habs? No. That's not what they need. They don't need more offense from the defense. That's not what they need. Cappy's a great story. Okay, we already said that one. Yeah, I was disappointed that they didn't get Connor Murphy too. Absolutely. Robertson yeah, that'd be good. The Blues terminated Matthew Joseph. Yeah. I don't think that because they don't need more. I don't mind Matthew Joseph, but they already got one terminated contract winger from the Blues, and they've got 15 forwards right now. There's just no space to add another terminated forward. Simon, yeah, hey, if you can contribute some money whenever, any of you, whenever you can, that's great. Like and subscribe, yes, please do. Absolutely. Slav on the first line in practice. Well, I did say that the other day that you might see that second line hasn't been rolling lately. Doc wasn't great last game. His new hook on the second line and Doc at center, perhaps, or you got Doc on the second line, or who's on the second line at practice? Just quickly here, I'm going to go back, have a look, see what's trending. Iran. Oh, it's mostly Buffalo's trending, but for all the wrong reasons. Again, that's why, Frank, breaking these trades early on when they're not official should almost be against the rules to do it. Because all it does is hurt the players in question. Just, I don't know. I'd have trouble sleeping at night if I was doing that. I hope we make playoffs, but I'm okay if Habs do nothing. I'd like to see Jacky, Struble, Carey move so Reinbacher can be called up. It's time now. David looks good to me defensively. Yeah. Well, that's why I think they might be sellers. Maybe they've been waiting for the trade deadline here. And then, okay. Like, it would make sense, right? Just because you can't really call them up. Then what? You lose Jacky or Struble for nothing on waivers? So maybe that's what they've been waiting for, right? These next 2 days are going to tell us a lot. They're going to tell us about the goaltending to a certain degree. It's going to tell us about Line A. Going to tell us about whether Reinbacher is going to get called up. for a look here. There's a lot of balls in place, and Kent's got a lot of, they've been talking a lot. There's a lot of different scenarios here. Yeah. Do not expect a big trade from the Habs. What is asked from the Habs is overpay, way too over for what Habs would have to give in exchange. Yeah. If H joins the Habs, it would be interesting to see if he got a shot in the wing with Cappy and Demi. Ooh, that'd be a nice second line, eh? Or on the first line, but yeah, no, I wouldn't mind him with Cappy and Demi. Kid line, rookie line, pure rookie line, eh? And I mean, Doc, I would like Doc back in one of those center slots. It gives you some size in the bottom six at center. Doc's better at center than he is on the wing, I think, really, at the end of the day. Get Doc, Newhook, and Bolduc as a line, maybe. But of course, then you got to have somebody up in the top six, right? Newhook on the second line. But when Hage is up, Hage on the second line, then Bolduc, Doc, Newhook as the third line. I don't mind the thoughts of that. Mind you, last year when Doc and Newhook were on the second line, wasn't very good, but Doc wasn't playing very well at the start of the year either. Braden Shem before Trocheck. Yeah, for me. Deneau and Evans all doing the work of Trocheck. I agree. Although Trocheck does offer more offense. But again, people are thinking, oh, well, upgrade on Kapanen. I don't know. Then what, Cappy's on the wing? I don't know. I don't think Trocheck's a fit. Might be good for Slot playing with them to simplify his game. He's a bit too creative for my liking lately. Yeah, he's trying to be Mr. Fancy Pass. Matheson is taking therapy today. Yeah. That's all it is. Paper bag sales have gone way down in Quebec since he left. Scott Gomez. Newhook, Kapanen, and Damadov. Okay. Doc, Evans, Bolduc. Oh, Doc on the wing. Yeah, I guess. But okay. Well, Newhook. Hey, Newhook deserved a promotion. Doc, after that last game, I guess deserved a demotion. Slav, that second line has not been clicking defensively lately, so Newhook maybe a little better defensively than Slav right now at times. Just not doing those crazy own zone turnovers that drive me nuts. Slav's back to doing that. Happy to hear that little shake-up's not a bad thing and it doesn't have to be permanent. Yeah. Get Slav rolling again here, right? My favorite team is Habs, and I think trading Montebo for Binnington, we need goalies. Hey, Ryan, I have suggested that. I know when I first suggested it, there was a bit of... but it has been mentioned, Ken. Thank you. Have there been any trades in the last hour? If anybody sees any trades, let me know. Because I don't get those trade alerts because my phone would be always dinging. Marc-Andre Fleury come out of retirement. That's been asked before too. But yeah, first and fifth or whatever for hey, Raw. It just goes to show you the value of a big rugged center in the bottom two. I mean, the Canadiens could use one. He was really good for Vegas in their cup year. It was a fairly hefty price to pay, but they're going for it, right? Their window's open now, so let's just see here. So they got two big guys down the middle now with Nelson and Roy. You know, Avs appreciate that you need that size down the middle. Minnesota got McCarron, right? So Colorado had to match him. They got themselves a big physical center as well. Playoff time, war of attrition. I'm happy Buffalo didn't get Parayko with all those 6'4" defensemen. They would have blocked the sun. I know. Yep. Minton and a first to Boston for Carlo. Wild, eh? That was a crazy trade. For someone that's been dragged, but for many years, I'm impressed with how Line A is handling himself. I know why. Throw in Veleno, Blais, Beck, Florian, and I think our bottom six in shape now and into the future. I don't know. They need upgrades in the bottom six. Florian's at least a year away. Veleno's a spare forward at this point. Blais, a minor leaguer. No, they need upgrade. Bottom six. Toronto first rounder, top 10 protected, slides to 2028 protected. Yes. You've been saying White Cloud for quite a while. I would agree. He would be good one to go after. Heck, they already out west. Just do a quick touch and lift off Calgary on the way back home. Absolutely. There you go, eh? By the way, folks, I forgot to after the post game the other day, forgot to mention these guys, so I'm going to give them a quick shout out. Next Level Hockey, specialists in hockey development, trusted by NHL prospects. Whether you're looking to elevate your shooting, skating, stick handling, or overall game, Next Level Hockey is here to take your game to the next level. Visit them at nextlevelhockey.com and follow their Instagram at Next Level Hockey for daily tips, posts, and updates. If you or someone you know have young aspiring hockey players who want to elevate their game, trust Next Level Hockey to guide them forward. Next Level Hockey, it's in the name. All right. I said I'd stay on until the Habs made a trade. Maybe not. Do you think Owen Beck has a future with the Habs? The fact that that they re-signed Alex Texier inexplicably, I'm starting to wonder. That was kind of a message, I think, saying we don't think Owen Beck can be, can be a Hab. He's got to make the team next training camp. They just signed Texier 2-year extension, so they figure he's going to make training camp. You figure Hage makes makes the team next year, probably. You know, still got Anderson, Galley for another year. They picked up Deneau, which was another sign saying, no, one, we don't think you can play, a bottom two role, center role on the team. They signed Evans to an extension. All signs point towards them not thinking that Beck has a future with the club. Unfortunate, but we'll see. But that's, again, I'm just speculating, reading tea leaves here. H will be playing before the season ends, maybe Ryan Bacher too. Maybe, and I hope so. On both. Do I see this deadline if the Habs could get Whitecloud somehow, but still consider it a win? H would be a good forward ad. I still think Montreal has to sell. Yep. Stan Bowman says he believes Oilers are done on the trade front. Oh, I would think they're done. I mean, they've been trading all year. They've got no first round picks left. Unless they start, teams start wanting 2034 first rounders. Regards to Jack and Struble, if we had to move one out, who would you pick and why? Oh, I get asked that pretty much every day. I mean, it's close. I guess Struble. Happy's still a rookie and doing great. That's why the Brass never traded for one. Yeah. I would prefer Hage signing the same type of contract Fowler signed. Sent to Laval, going a long playoff run. ELC starts next year. Well, a little different with the goalie because he wasn't about to play in Montreal. Hage doesn't have to come out right now. His agent won't. It'll be a burn a year, sign an NHL deal, or we're going to stay for another year. Michigan's a powerhouse. They'll have some leverage there. I don't see it being a go to Laval thing. I mean, I would set him there, and I thought earlier in the year that's what I was hoping it would happen. But Hage has had such a hell of a year. He was great at the World Juniors. He's a hot commodity. He's improved his game so much. I think he ends the year with the Habs, signs NHL deal, burns a year on his contract. Logan Stanley. Yeah, I keep getting asked that, Luke. No, I'm not a Logan Stanley fan. Just not. He's improved, I agree. Buffalo is like Hamilton. Nobody really wants to live there. Oh, okay. Some podcasts make some chat members only to promote becoming members. Yeah. Oh, no. I'm not going to get greedy with this. People want to send me money. They'll send me money. And the more people that I can interact with, the better. I've seen that, Francois, but that's part of what is making this popular, I think, is the fact that I talk to everybody. I mean, out of the thousands of people that come on here every month, maybe 40 or 50 send me money. So a chat with 40 or 50 people, a month isn't going to, I don't think it's going to work. Hey, Grant, how do you feel about the chemistry on defense? Yeah, that's part of it, but I think it's just the wrong pieces. They got guys playing on their offside. They don't have enough physicality. They've got Alex Carrier on the top penalty killing unit. I just don't get it. He can't clear the front of the net effectively because he doesn't have the size, strength to do it. He's game, but he's not able. It's more a question of personality than chemistry, I think. Remember when I said Bobrovsky a month or so ago? I don't. Maybe go after him. Maybe go after Bennington. Don't forget, folks, if you come in late here, there's a good chance that what you mentioned might have already been talked about. I keep that in consideration. It was talked about. So you may have said something a month ago. I said something an hour ago. Okay. What are my thoughts on the Sens rebuild? Are they rebuilding? I don't know. Not sure. I don't think they're going to do too much here. They don't have a draft pick, right? They don't have their first. So it's not much of a rebuild this year. Rank these prospects. Cade, again, we're talking trade deadline here. I'm not going to, just off the cuff try to rank prospects right now. Hage looks better with talent around him. Montreal will be where the most talent is. Yes. Good point. Not that it matters, but the first round pick for a while is top 12 protected. No, they're probably not. You're heading out? Okay, Glenn, thank you. Just remembered this. You mentioned the same thing, Grant, about Edmonton not having any picks left. Yeah. I feel like Engstrom would interest teams a lot. Well, I've kept mentioning him. He's injured right now, obviously, but to tanking teams, I don't think that would matter, right? In fact, they maybe prefer a player that's injured right now so they can continue tanking. Engstrom and Struble and Jacky are all viable pieces that are, playing pro in Montreal right now. Beck is another one, I think. I don't know if Joshua would have any value anywhere else. So, I mean, if somebody, as a throw-in on a bigger package, maybe Joshua goes to, William Trudeau. I mean, these guys are going to have to be put on waivers next year, right? But they may not have teams may not be interested unless it's kind of a throw-in. Maybe a team like Calgary that has to get to the floor, and if you threw in guys that are playing in Laval, they call them up, and there's another $900,000 NHL contract salary that they can put towards the floor. That's a possibility, but well, the Habs signed Protz. Yep. Yeah, we're getting we're getting away from the trade deadline here. Let's try to focus on trades that have been made and trades. And if you see anything, folks, see any trades, let me know. 998 on X. That's pretty good. We're going to crack 1,000 here, which is nice. Lot. Calm before the storm here, right? All the trades in the morning, and I guess now not much happening. Hasn't been a trade for a couple hours here. Of course, when I come on the air, oh no, we can't make any more. We can't make any trades when Grant's doing his podcast. Look, I'm gonna wrap this up shortly, and if the Canadiens make a trade at some point today, I'll do an emergency podcast, as they call it, come back on and discuss it. But for now, doesn't look like, well, there hasn't been a trade since I freaking came on the air. So I'm going to talk for a couple more minutes here, but that's going to be it for now. The plan is McDavid. Yeah. Nice to see Fowler set to return. Okay, yeah, good. Because Kakinen last game there didn't look particularly good, I didn't think. So he's got to get her rolling. Okay, we're down to 100 watching here. Please press the like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I'm gonna wrap this up for now. This is the quietest deadline I can remember. Well, Skoy, tomorrow's the deadline, right? You'll presumably be a little busier tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, it's quiet in Montreal. And that's disappointing so far. I was hoping Line 8 be freaking dealt by now, because I think that's sort of something for them to pick up other pieces. They kind of got to get rid of Line 8, right? But you know what's going to happen here? I'm going to pack it in here, and probably within an hour, Montreal will make a deal, right? It's usually the way things work. Or if I have a nap. I always find if I have a nap at trade deadlines, that's when Montreal does something. It happens like clockwork. So maybe I will go have a nap, or try to. You somehow doubt. Well, it's always trade deadline day is always busier than the day before. Always. That's why TSN has their big trade deadline show, right? So Ken just repeated that. Like that's the day. Tomorrow's the day. So who knows? Maybe Montreal makes 5 deals tomorrow. I don't know. Kind of hoping that they do one today, but we discussed, we had a good time here discussing possibilities. A lot of us are on the same page here. So, hopefully the Habs pull the trigger on something, because I want big numbers on my podcast over the next couple days. All right. I guess that I'll have one last look at X here. Trending. Holtz. Why is Holtz trending? Remember when we wanted Alexander Holtz? Glad that the Habs didn't pull the trigger on him a couple years ago. He didn't really turn out, did he? Okay, looks like things are a little quiet here right now in the trade front. But like I say, if something breaks, I will come back on, and if the Habs make a deal, I'll get on as soon as I can and do a podcast. So keep an eye out. If you're a subscriber, hit the notification button. I think you can notify, and you should get notified of when a podcast coming up, okay? And I'll also post something on X and on blue sky. If and when the Habs make a deal here over the next 24 hours. Okay, I got to go stretch the legs. Let the dog out. Maybe go for a little walk with the dog. Bye for now. I'll hopefully see you at some point later today. Okay. See ya.